see some of our beautiful corals. Then when we look at our coral, we usually break them up into two types, hard and soft. So what I mean by that is the hard coral has a calcium carbonate skeleton. So that means that it can hold its structure. Meanwhile, soft coral, they don't have that. So instead they move with the flow and the motion of the ocean. So some of the more common types that we are seeing here today, guys, is our branching coral or our staghorn coral as well. So these guys, well, usually with our corals, we like to name them based on what they look like. So they look like branches or the horns of a deer. So these are some of the quickest growing coral that we have in the reef. They grow about 10 to 15 centimeters a year, which is very, very quick. In saying that though, they are quite fragile. So if we have any storms and things like that, they are most likely to be the ones to break. In saying that though, because they grow quite quickly, they can quite easily recover. Now another species of coral that we're starting to see is some spaghetti corals. This is a species of soft coral. You can guess why it's called spaghetti coral, because it looks like spaghetti or noodles or ramen, whatever you want to call it. So what's cool about these guys is they have these little stinging cells on the outside called nematocytes. So what they do, they can actually kill the surrounding coral around them, so they can maximize their space and grow, so they can maximize the amount of area that they have. So when looking at simple coral biology, so coral is an animal. They are made up of hundreds or thousands of little individual organisms called coral polyps. So they have a mouth and stomach, and they have tentacles on the outside. They almost look like an upside down jellyfish. So they get their food and their nutrients through filter feedings of those tentacles through their mouth and stomach. In saying that though, that's only about 10% of their food source. So the other 90% comes from an algae called zooxanthellae. So that gives the coral its food, but also its colour. They photosynthesize and they get that rest of energy that they need. Now we did go through last a big coral just on the right hand side, very, very large. There's another one just about to come up on the right hand side as well. These are boulder corals. So they only grow a centimetre a year. So this big coral that I've got right next to me, this one could be thousands of years old, because they take a very long time to grow. seeing a turtle, so hopefully we will have a look at that very shortly. Just sort of see out in the distance there just. So while we are talking about turtles real quick, we are very lucky in the Great Barrier Reef. We have 6 of the 7 turtle species in our waters. So the most common species of turtles that we have is the green sea turtle, which is what that turtle was there if anyone saw it. So you might look at that turtle and think, hey, that's not green. Why is it called a green sea turtle? So seagrass and algae is a key part of a turtle's diet. So they eat that much seagrass and algae that it causes their fat inside to turn green. So that's where that comes from. Another species that you might see today is a hawksbill turtle. So they have more of a sharper beak, and their shell edges are quite sharp, and they're a bit darker in colour as well. Turtles are reptiles, so they do need to come up for oxygen to breathe. So if you do see a turtle today, just be careful in case they need to come up to breathe. Now we did see a fish pooping out some sand, so it does happen. Very, very cool to see. I still love seeing it. There's this little school of fish on the right hand side as well. They've got silver bodies and yellow tails. So they are our yellowtail fusiliers. They usually tend to swim in larger groups, so safety in numbers, and they tend to swim in the water column, middle of the water column, just like we saw then as well. So we've got more of these beautiful damsels on the left-hand side, as well as those red bass as well. As well as our beautiful branching corals, and a big plate coral and table coral there as well. So you guys get some action there on the left-hand side. So some more species of parrotfish and some nice table corals on the right hand side as well. Oh, and we've got a light tip reef shark on the left hand side, guys. Just about to go past us. Awesome. Now, if people are scared of sharks, I promise you they are the puppies of the ocean. They are harmless. In fact, they say it, but they are more scared of us than we are of them. Most of the sharks that we have are only about a metre or so in size, so they're only small. Humans are quite large compared to them, so they will not harm you, I promise. Now another animal that we haven't quite come across yet, but hopefully we will soon, is our giant clams. So if anyone's gone snorkeling today and seen any giant clams, they're quite hard to miss, but they're very important for the reef as well. So we had our sea cucumbers that were the vacuum cleaners of the ocean. The giant clams are our water filters. So giant clams are bivalves, which means they have 2 holes. We call them siphons. So water comes through one way and it comes out the other. So while this is happening, while they're filtering the water, the giant clams can get their oxygen. So they can collect that oxygen from the water to be able to breathe. They say that one giant clam can filter the amount of an Olympic swimming pool per 24 hours. So very, very clever. Some of them also have these little green dots on them. So have a look at that if you find them while snorkeling this afternoon. They are actually their eyes. So they act as photoreceptors. So if they feel a shark or a human swimming over the top of them, they will close up as a defensive mechanism, and they will eventually open up again. So they're very important for the reef, very clever. Those dots on their eyes are made from the same algae that the coral is made out of, zooxanthellae. So if a clam dies, it's actually an indicator also of the health of the reef. So they play more of an important role than people think. Now we're starting to see some of that beautiful coral again on the left-hand side. Starting to see some of those boulder corals again, some of the elephant ear corals as well, and the spangled emperor is one of those bigger fish down the bottom there. Now, if you guys go snorkeling around the sandy bottom areas of the reef, you might potentially find some stingrays as well. The most common species that we have is our blue spotted lagoon ray. So they're only small, they're not massive rays, but they're very cool with the bright blue patterns that they've got on top. So stingrays are actually related to sharks. They're both species of cartilaginous fish. mutual relationship between the clownfish and the anemone. So the clownfish uses the anemone as a home, and then the anemone uses the clownfish to protect them from any fish that might eat them, such as the butterfly fish. They have also been known to eat anemones. Now, I'm hoping people here have seen Finding Nemo. If people haven't, they are lying. Finding Nemo is a great movie, one of my all-time favourites, of course. Now, I hope people know in the movie that the female does die, spoiler alert. And then, of course, you have Marlin and Nemo. That isn't entirely accurate with what happens in real life. So in real life, the female clownfish is the dominant one. And then you have the male that's a medium size, and the juveniles are, of course, the smaller one. So when the female dies in real life, the dominant male can actually change their sex to become the dominant female. So Marlin would have become a female in real life, and then Nemo, being the only juvenile left, or the dominant juvenile, would have changed his potential sex to be a male, because the juveniles don't have a sex when they're juveniles. So while the movie, it's not the movie that they wanted to tell by Pixar, but it is still a very interesting story nonetheless. We have quite a few species of clownfish out here in the reef. The Nemos that you guys are all familiar with is the percula clownfish, or the true clownfish. So they're very, very cute, very tiny as well. They're also species of dancerfish as well. So starting to see those big boulder corals again on the left-hand side as well. Starting to see a big group of parrotfish down the bottom as well, all eating all that algae off of the coral.
So friendly. They can see us.
So as I started to touch on before, we have experienced quite a few mass climate change global bleaching events at the reef. It's causing quite a lot of our coral to be go white. So how the coral bleaching process works is that when the coral gets too stressed, whether it's hot or there's too much fresh water in the ocean, it gets stressed. So when it gets really stressed, it expels that zooxanthellae, the algae, it gets rid of it. So when that happens, it loses its colour. So that's why it goes white. So one key thing I want you guys to take away with is just because the coral is bleached, it doesn't necessarily mean it's dead. So when a coral is bleached, it's like an illness, it's like it's sick, like cold. So when a coral does become bleached, it does have a little window to recover, usually about a few weeks or so. Coral is quite resilient, so there are times where it can recover on its own. But if it doesn't, it will eventually pass away. When it does die, it looks like a darker brown colour. It almost has sort of a mossy sort of feel. So have a look out for that. Now it is quite shallow here if you haven't noticed. A lot of our branching coral that we're going over at the moment. Now when we get big clusters like this, it can be called bushy coral as well. Looks like a big bush obviously as well. Another species of coral that we sometimes get is our mushroom coral. So these guys are quite unique. They are a species of hard coral as well, but they are their own little animals, so they don't attach to the substrate like all the other corals do. And as I mentioned before, corals are made up of about hundreds of thousands of animals, little polyps. These guys only have one polyp, so it's very quite unique. So they've got one mouth part in the middle, and they've got their stomach on the inside as well. So have a look out for them today. They're like a little circular shape, looks like the top of a mushroom. them.